Just doing a quick desktop recording to highlight some of the things we talked about in class today as it relates to kind of fine-tuning the last little tweaks of your nonprofit logo design. So I'm just going to talk through some of the things we talked about in class as far as the rationale for things, kind of how to kind of do the final tweaks in your logo to make sure it's the most effective logo that it can be. And so I'm going to use the Keep Rome Floyd Beautiful mark that we've been using in class to show you how scale and proportion and kind of the placements of type as it relates to the symbol itself can create a totally different dynamic for a combination mark based on kind of how you put things. So let's go ahead and I'm going to group my mountain here, and I'm going to move it out of the way. And then I'm going to group my waves for the river here. And then I'm going to group my clock tower, right? So I have my three elements. And these three elements can interact in so many different ways to make kind of different solutions. So I'm going to first kind of problem solve kind of the positioning of it as it kind of relates to the other elements, because that's the problem solving that each of you are doing. And this is kind of the part of the design process that most of you gravitated towards and did pretty well. So take a look at what I just did there. I actually made the tower much smaller than it was there and made the hills much bigger. And I could even push that a little bit further and make it like that. And then what if I brought my tower to that side and I made my waves this side? And so you're seeing how the solution, so let me ungroup that. Now you're seeing how I handle my elements can dictate kind of how my layout takes shape. So now you can see versus this, how it's nestled over here. What if I took the waves and I moved them down here, right? And I take this one and slide it all the way over, and I take this one and I kind of nestle it in here, and then I take this one and I kind of park it in there. So now I have a totally different solution using positive and negative space. But you may notice now that my text would need to fall suit in a different place. So I'm going to go ahead and group this line of text, Command G, and group this line of text, Command G. And now I've got a problem solve. Where can I put my text to continue to tell the story? So, right, I'm going to center align it, but I'm going to drop it down now because this is anchored towards the bottom. Totally different solution than this. So you can see, let me highlight this and copy it. Copy, paste, group. And so now you'll see that one versus this one. And I'll go ahead and take it one step further and let's try it again. But this time I'm going to make the clock tower really big. So copy, paste. I'm going to make the clock tower really big. So there is my, and so let's do this. Let's make these a little bit smaller, just so we have a little more room. So there's that. Here's this. So you can see different solutions, same elements, different solutions. And so now I'm going to take this, copy, paste, and let's make the mountains small, the hills small, just so that you can see how it tells a different story. So there is my big clock tower, little hills. And so now let's take our waves again. And so now let's make them long over here. So I'm going to scale it up a little bit. And so here are my waves for this one. And so I'm just using positive and negative space. Now look at this solution. Maybe the hill's just ever so slightly bigger, just so that they don't get lost. Right? Totally different solution. Much more square than these. Much more stacked. So now, if I take my text, so let's just take this, we'll copy and paste it, we'll move it over here. Now for the sake of blowing it up, we want to make sure that it has the same weight visually. So maybe I'll slide this over, scale it up just a little bit. And so now you have a completely different solution, right? All three elements are still interacting. They're scaled totally differently in each three solutions. And by changing the positioning of the solutions, it creates a different negative space here for me to problem solve to make my logo work. So I'm going to go ahead and take this, shrink it down a little bit, put it there. I'm going to take this, shrink it down a little bit, and put it here. And then I'm going to take this one, shrink it down a little bit, and I'm going to put it over here. So you can see the three different solutions. Now look what happens when we have to stack them. So I'm going to move this over a little bit, get it out of the way. I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to do Shift Option, drag a copy. I'm going to ungroup it. So you're just seeing how my brain is going to problem solve this. So then let's group just this, and we'll move it down. And then we got to take this, make sure this is grouped. Move it over. And now I've got to make this a little bit bigger so that it has kind of visual weight, because this is a pretty heavy typeface. And so now I'm going to nest it in there so that that is above that. So now let's try it with this one. So let's select this, copy, paste, move it over here. We'll take the new and improved, this symbol. We're going to kind of squeeze it in. We're going to have to scale it up a little bit in order to get it to fit. And now that might mean when I stack it that I move this over to the left and I slide. Ooh. I'm going to redo my move. And then I have to take, we have those three waves together. Let's undo that real quick. Make sure I get all my pieces together. So there it is. So we'll group it. We'll take it and put it here. I'm actually going to take this type and move it to the left, because in the stacked version, I think I need to give myself a little visual room. And so then I nest it in like this. I gotta scale it up a little bit because of the weight of the font. So let's take this, we'll nudge it down a little bit so it's away from the other one. And then we're just gonna problem solve, making sure that this fits in the negative space, okay? So that would be a little bit more like that. So this logo would be like that, this logo would be like that. And then we have to take our last concept, and we'll take this, put it over here, and then we'll take this. Now this one is very square, so you can already see what we're gonna have to do. Let's do Shift Option. We're gonna scale it up. Now I gotta give myself a little room. So let's go in and make this artboard a little bigger. I'm just gonna make it a little bigger so you can see my elements. So there it is. Let's take this and this, scale it down. Now we can park this back in the middle because this one is a little more square. And so I probably wouldn't go the full width of it, but I would go enough to make sure this thing has some beef to it. So look at this. This is that one. Repositioned, landscape and portrait. This one is this one, landscape and portrait, and this one is this one, landscape and portrait. So that's the problem solving side of it. Now, look what happens if I just wanted to make these not fill, right? So that there's no fill color. Let me pick this one just because it's a nice square image. So let's get rid of that color and that color and that color and that color. And let's switch these to stroke. I'm gonna make it a little beefier just so that you can see what it looks like. Go into my swatches. I'm gonna beef it up a little bit. And then I'm going to take this one, pick my burnt color. I'm going to beef it up a little bit. Now, it doesn't have to be that thick, I don't think. So I'm going to go like that. And then because we don't have a fill, I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. And I'm going to adjust this one so it's not under it. So there it is. And so that's a completely fine solution for color versus filling in the shape. But look at what the difference is when you do it just in line stroke. So let's copy this one and bring it over just so that you can see the difference. Take this, take this, take this, switch it over, get rid of that, get rid of that, select this, make it green, make sure it's 1 point, zoom in, get rid of this shape, get rid of this shape, group this, and make this a rusty brown color. So now you can see black and white and full color. And it's okay to be full color like this. Look at the detail in it by doing it that way. So hopefully this little recorded demo just reinforces the critique we were doing in class today of how to make sure the weight of the letters equals the weight of the symbol and how you can nest those two things together. And all of these are successful solutions in their own way. And I would show probably several sequences of my symbol combinations like this one, and then this one, and then this one to my clients so they could see all of the different ways you can take river strokes, hills and mountain strokes, and the clock tower and make it a successful solution. All right, gang, good luck with the final tweaks on your mark as we do our style guides on Thursday. Have a good week.